Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something that's, well, probably more important to your personal health than you even realize. We're talking about the security of patient data,
Yeah.
specifically inside medical and diagnostic laboratories. These labs are kind of the quiet backbone of healthcare. They provide all that accurate data, those diagnostic insights doctors rely on for your health decisions. And if you stop and think about it, the sheer volume of really sensitive health data they handle is just staggering. Everything from blood tests, genetic info, to your personal health information, PHI, and yeah, even billing details.
Mhm.
So the huge challenge, and really our focus today, is making sure every single bit of that confidential information is absolutely locked down, secure.
Exactly. And the thing is, the whole healthcare sector is changing so fast, going digital. With more data moving around, the potential entry points for cyber threats just keep growing. This rising risk is precisely why privileged access management, PAM, has shifted from just an IT tool to something absolutely essential here.
Right. So our mission in this deep dive, then, is to really unpack why PAM isn't just some IT checklist item for these labs. We want to explore why it's a fundamental business necessity, how it underpins, well, everything from protecting patient data and meeting strict regulations to just keeping the doors open and running smoothly. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Why is it so incredibly crucial for these labs specifically to have robust PAM solutions in place?
Well, first off, it really boils down to the data itself. Labs are collecting, processing just massive amounts of protected health information, PHI. And anyone in this field knows HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's like the rule book for securing PHI. For labs, strict compliance isn't just a good idea, it's mandatory. Get it wrong, and the consequences are pretty severe.
Okay, high pay is the big one.
Yeah, and within that context, what's especially tricky are the privileged accounts. These aren't your standard logins. Think of them more like master keys to the whole system. They have really broad access. They can change core settings, view highly confidential patient info, sometimes even delete critical data,
Wow.
which makes them incredibly valuable and therefore vulnerable targets for cyber criminals.
Right.
If a hacker gets one of those, it's essentially game over.
Right. The keys to the kingdom, basically.
Exactly. And, it's not always the hacker outside the walls. A really significant risk, one that maybe doesn't get enough attention, comes from inside. Internal threats, employees misusing their access, or maybe just accidentally exposing it.
Ah, okay. So
Yep.
it could be intentional or accidental.
Precisely. Imagine a technician who's upset, suddenly poking around in billing records they shouldn't see. Or worse, deleting research data. A breach, whether it's external or internal, can obviously lead to patient data theft for identity theft, insurance fraud, things like that. But beyond the data theft, it can completely cripple the lab's operations. It could stop them from processing samples, delivering critical results on time, or even just sending out bills for their services. It hits everywhere.
That's a really sobering thought, both the external hackers and the internal risks. It definitely highlights why this isn't just, an IT department problem. Like you said earlier, it sounds like a genuine business imperative. So, what are some of those deeper, more tangible business drivers pushing labs towards PAM?
That's a great way to put it, because PAM's value absolutely goes beyond just security in the narrow sense. I mean, the most obvious driver is still regulatory compliance, especially IPAY. We know IPAY demands secure PHI. But the real challenge for labs is managing those privileged accounts according to HIPAY's rules. If those super user accounts aren't managed tightly, labs risk exposing PHI and boom, direct violations.
And the penalties are serious, I gather.
Oh, they're staggering. Fines can start around $100,000, easily climb into the millions. It really depends on how bad the breach is and if the lab was seen as negligent. We've seen specific penalties hit $50,000 per violation.
For violation.
Yeah, and annual totals can rocket past $1.5 million if there are repeat offenses. So PAM helps ensure access is strictly limited to only the authorized people. That's just foundational for meeting these legal demands.
Okay, so avoiding massive fines is a pretty big motivator. What else?
Well, another huge driver, maybe harder to put a dollar figure on, but potentially even more damaging, is protecting patient trust. In healthcare, trust isn't just a nice to have, it's everything. It's the currency of the whole relationship.
Right.
Patients have to trust implicitly that their most private health details are handled with extreme care. If a breach happens because a privileged account was compromised and PHI gets out, that doesn't just violate trust. It can cause, frankly, irreparable damage to the lab's reputation.
Yeah, once that trust is gone.
Exactly. You can eventually pay off a fine, right? But a shattered reputation, lost patient confidence, that can mean patients leaving, Fewer new patients coming in.
Yeah.
It's a long-term, maybe even unrecoverable blow.
Makes sense.
Or-
Compliance, trust. What else?
And then there's keeping the lights on, basically.
Hmm.
Operational continuity.
Sure.
If a lab systems get compromised, maybe unauthorized access, maybe an insider issue, it can totally derail their essential work. I mean, think about it. Test results get delayed, patient records might become inaccessible, they might not be able to submit claims for billing.
So it affects patient care directly.
Absolutely. It's not just about the lab losing money, though that happens too. Critical delays in getting test results back to doctors and patients, that can have really serious consequences for health outcomes. So PAM solutions are vital here because they help keep operations running smoothly, securely. They let the staff focus on what they need to do, getting accurate results out quickly.
Okay, so it's hitting compliance, trust, and the day-to-day running of the lab. It really touches everything. That all makes perfect sense. Now, knowing all that, what are the practical tools? What specific PAM features should labs really focus on to get this right?
Right, the practical side. There are a few key features that are especially relevant here. First, you've got access controls. This is really the cornerstone, the absolute foundation of any PAM solution. Labs have got to ensure only the right people access PHI, and crucially, they need to enforce the principle of least privilege.
The principle of least privilege. Explain that a bit.
Sure, think of it like this. You don't give everyone in the building a master key, right? If someone only needs to get into the supply closet for their job, they just get the key to the supply closet, not the key to the executive suite or the server room.
Got it. Only the access you absolutely need.
Exactly. So a lab tech processing blood tests. They shouldn't have access to patient billing records, administrative staff. They definitely shouldn't be able to see sensitive diagnostic data unless it's core to their role. The challenge really is putting these fine-grained controls in place consistently, especially when roles change, people move around. It's complex.
Okay, so strong access controls, least privilege. What's next?
Next up is audit logging. This is incredibly critical, especially in regulated spaces like healthcare. It's not just about knowing who logged in. It's about having a complete unchangeable record of who accessed what data and when.
The audit trail.
Precisely. That detailed log is indispensable for proving HIPAA compliance if auditors come calling. And, maybe even more importantly, it's vital for forensic investigations if something does go wrong. But there's another angle too. These logs can help spot weird patterns.
Like what?
Like, say, a privileged account trying to log in at 3 a.m. or suddenly accessing way more patient records than usual. That could be an early warning sign of a breach or maybe an insider threat starting to act up. It lets you investigate quickly, hopefully before major damage is done.
Okay, so logging for compliance and for threat detection makes sense. Is there more?
And then kind of building on those logs, you have behavior analytics. This adds more advanced, sort of intelligent layer of protection.
AI-powered stuff.
Basically, yeah. Think of it as a system that learns what normal activity looks like for every user, every privileged account. It baselines typical behavior. Then it can spot subtle things, sophisticated anomalies that might indicate a threat, things that simple rules might miss.
Can you give an example?
Sure, maybe a privileged account logs in from a totally unexpected country. Or it accesses a type of data it's never touched before. Or the volume of data accessed suddenly spikes. Behavior analytics flags these potentially suspicious activities in real time. It often uses machine learning, so it's constantly getting smarter, adapting to new patterns, and detecting emerging threats more effectively.
That's pretty powerful when you put those three together: access control, logging, and then the smart analytics on top.
Yeah.
So to kind of bring it all together then, what we've really seen is that for medical and diagnostic labs, PAM isn't just, a nice security add-on. It really is, as you said, a fundamental business necessity.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. By putting strong PAM practices in place, these labs can lock down those critical privileged accounts. They can prevent unauthorized eyes from seeing sensitive patient data, and they can really lower the risk of those incredibly costly breaches and operational meltdowns. It's this comprehensive approach that really delivers on EPA compliance, protects that vital patient trust, and ultimately helps labs avoid those crippling fines.
And it really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? Given how clear the benefits are, how necessary PM is for labs, what other industries, what other parts of our critical infrastructure, the ones that also rely so heavily on sensitive data and need to keep running no matter what, could benefit just as much? How could they transform their own security, build stronger trust by adopting this kind of rigorous privileged access management? Something to definitely mull over.